everybody. Welcome back. This is Miss Faye, and this is my world. Today's topic is marriage. Okay, we have a letter. So let's dive right into this letter and see what she says. I never thought I'd find myself here, alone, at this stage in my life. I gave my heart, my youth, and the best years of my life to a man I thought I'd grow old with. Now I sit in an empty house. The kids are grown and gone, busy with their own lives. And he's off playing husband again to a younger woman. Wow. Sometimes I wonder, was it all just a scam? This thing called marriage. It feels like women always get the short end of the stick. We nurture, we sacrifice, we build, and then we're left picking up the pieces while they move on like it's nothing. I spent decades believing in forever. I poured everything into my marriage, my time, my love, my loyalty. And now it's like I'm disposable. He's moved on, and I'm here questioning everything. Is this how marriage was designed? For women to give and give, only to be left behind? Let me stop right here, because that's a hard one. I say yes. Marriage was designed by men and for men, not for women. It feels like marriage is some trap where women get burned in the end. I just want to understand, was I naive to believe in marriage? No. This has been drummed into you from a child. You grow up, you find a man, you get married, you have kids. It's drummed into you everywhere you go. And when you go to your houses of worship, they're telling you that it's sanctioned by God. Okay? So everywhere you go, this marriage thing is being driven into your subconscious mind. You hear it over and over and over. It's repetition. You grew up with it. You expect it. But at the same time, as you're growing up, you are presented with this fairy tale life of when you get married. That's where the scam comes in. You are believing in a fairy tale. Marriage is nothing like that. All right. Did I simply make the mistake of loving too deeply in a world where that's not valued anymore? To love somebody too deeply? Well, I say yes. And I say, women, stop loving too deeply. Stop giving everything you have and hoping that this man is going to stay with you. Now, you end by saying, how do I stop feeling like I've been fooled? Well, that's going to be kind of hard because that's exactly what has happened. You and millions of other women have been fooled into this whole marriage thing. Okay, let's look at some history about marriage. Marriage is older than religion. Okay, so don't let nobody tell you, that religion came up with this. Marriage is older than religion or law. It began as a practical arrangement rather than a romantic one. And some cultures, they still do the arranged marriages. Those are not romantically connected. It will probably become romantic, but those are arranged. A lot of times, they meet each other at the wedding. It's an arrangement. It's a contract. Okay? Early societies used marriage to bind families, secure alliances, and control inheritance. These are early societies, because binding the families and securing alliances and all of that, it was protection for their little communities, if people were bound together. Women were often seen as property in early marriages, exchanged for goods, land, and status. Women, chattel. That's all women were. It wasn't too long ago. Women had no rights, period. The man had total jurisdiction over his wife. He could do with her whatever he desired, and there was no penalty for it because he owned his wife. Okay, ladies, it's just in these recent times that women have fought to get some of that power back. But when you go into a marriage, into that contract, you need to think about it. Polygamy, multiple spouses, was common in many ancient cultures. But during this time in these ancient cultures, people, remember, these men had to be able to afford these wives. You couldn't just go out and get a wife and you poor. It wasn't like that. All right. Marriage in religion. As religion developed, marriage became a sacred duty or moral obligation. You see, this was written in when religion was established. God didn't come down and ordain this. This is man making the rule. In Christianity, marriage evolved into a sacrament symbolizing unity and faithfulness. You see how Christianity roped that marriage into their doctrine? Because in these religions, they would prefer you to be married because that means more bodies come into the temple. And more bodies means more money, more resources. People, you got to go all the way down to the brass tacks of why these things are happening. Okay? Take off those rose-colored glasses. Now, hold on a minute. You realize that I'm a spiritualist and I am a light worker. So I'm here to bring light in dark places. And this is the place that needs some light. Marriage. Okay. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm talking against marriage, but I want to open your eyes to what marriage actually is. You have free will. You do what you want. Okay. But you need the information. All right. Now, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and others also tied marriage to religious law, emphasizing family, morality, and reproduction. Okay, so all the religions incorporated this marriage. Now, the thing about it is, there was a time, common law marriage. Okay, you choose a partner. You decide you want to be with that partner forever. That's your husband. But as we progressed in our society and the system got more sophisticated, the system wanted to document everybody. So here we come with the marriage certificate. It's a contract, people. Contract. All right. Yeah. Marriage became a legal contract in most societies. Governments formalized it to regulate it. So that's why, it's easy for you to get married, but it's not so easy for you to divorce because you got a contract, a legal contract. All right, people, think about it. Government formalized marriage to regulate inheritance, property rights, and legitimacy of children. Yeah, they wanted to keep these families together. But the thing about it is, the very people who are regulating these contracts really don't care about you or your happiness. No, they are benefiting from these marital contracts and birth certificates, all of that. Someone is benefiting from that. Okay, and it's not you. All right. Romantic love is a modern idea. You see, marriages before weren't based on any kind of love, they were just contracts. Okay? Trying to keep inheritance together, land together, protection for the families, and all kinds of things like that. Romantic love wasn't always central to marriage. In medieval Europe, love was often kept outside of marriage in courtship or affairs. All right, so, that might explain about the mistresses because, they keep the mistresses. They have, all kind of sex that they like to have that, but they want to keep the wife sacred because she's having their children. You see, I've heard men spout that before, but they're looking at you like property and treating you like property, their property. That's why you hear men saying, "My wife, you my wife." Okay, you don't own me. All right. The idea of marrying for love became popular in modern Western culture. So this is not all over the world. This is just Western culture. Marrying for love. Today's reason for marriage: love and companionship. Most common modern reason, especially in the West: love and companionship. That's because most people are afraid of being alone. You see, in today's society, especially in the Western world, uh, people have been traumatized from little kids living in fear. You see, and people being traumatized, a lot of them, they don't realize it because it's repetitive trauma all the time through social media, through TV, through the news, newspapers, magazines. It is repeated trauma. People are looking for some sort of relief from that. So they seek companionship. But they want a lasting, lifelong companionship. And they believe that marriage is the way to that. And because of the divorce rate, you see that it really isn't. Family and children, creating a stable environment for raising children. Well, that's the intent. But how many married couples neglect their children, abuse their children, don't even know where their children are half the time? You see, That's not it either. Family and children. Now, I understand, you know, you want to have your little babies and you would like to have their father there, but why you got to be married? Something to think about. Now, cultural and religious beliefs, following family or religious traditions. There's too many of us doing that. Following traditions. And this whole marriage thing is a tradition. And it's big business. Everything that they have us doing, somebody is making a huge fortune from it. Okay? Because it's not about you. It's making you feel it's about you, but not really. All right. Legal and financial benefits. You get some tax breaks, or maybe you did. I don't know if you still get them. Health insurance. Maybe if your spouse has a job that provides health insurance. But look how many people out here are married that don't have health insurance, other than the government coming up with that health insurance and forcing you to get health insurance. Okay, now I don't know, today if that's going to be revoked or whatever, but that was another tricky dicky when they did that. Okay, so here we go. Let's say immigration and again, inheritance. All right, these are some financial and legal benefits. And even immigration, it's not a benefit now. I don't, you can marry somebody from another country, but that's not going to keep them here now, because the system is changed the rules. Okay. Social status and security, a sense of belonging, protection, and stability. That's a falsehood. Marriage doesn't give you that. You hope that it would, but there's no guarantee you're going to get it. Or women would be a whole lot happier if they got this in their marriages. So in short, marriage began as a social and economic arrangement for survival and structure. It evolved into a religious duty for many, and today is often seen as a romantic partnership. Though in many places, practical and cultural factors still play a big role. Okay? That's marriage. That's what marriage is all about. Now, who benefits the most from marriage? Who? Do you, women? Does he, men? Okay. Men tend to gain more financially from marriage. And men are the ones, they complain, especially, if the marriage fails, they don't want to pay. They've already benefited more financially just from being married. And how does that work? They typically increase their wealth faster in a marriage. Why? Because you are there giving him support, taking care of all his needs, preparing for him to go out and be the best that he can be. That's why. They often benefit from spouses' unpaid labor, child care, household management. That's labor. Like slave labor. It's free. Ladies, you get married and you take up these duties. Women, on an average, take on more unpaid domestic work, even in dual income homes. And it's true, because even if you're working side by side with him, You still got to come home and take care of that home. When I've seen a lot of men come home from work and lay on the couch waiting for you to prepare dinner for them. All right, ladies. Women may sacrifice career advancement, childbearing years, impacting lifetime earnings. That's right. I've seen women who sacrifice career advancement because their husbands disagree with certain things about the advancement. For instance, in an advancement, maybe she had the opportunity to work at another office in another town, and her husband says no, or maybe in another state. The husband says no, so then she has to come back and be an underling in the job when she could have been a boss someplace else. She sacrificed that to keep the marriage together. She sacrificed herself. Would a man do that? Think about it. Men benefit health and longevity. They live longer, they have better mental and physical health, and are less likely to engage in risky behavior due to spousal influence. I don't know about that. There's plenty cheaters out there, and that's risky behavior. Okay, but all in all, they live longer because they got a woman taking care of them. Okay? Social and emotional support. Men often rely on their wives for emotional support and social connection. Women often find friendship networks outside of marriage, but they also tend to carry the emotional load of the marriage. How about legal risk? Men may face more financial risk in a divorce due to alimony, child support obligations. Women often face greater economic hardships post-divorce because of lower income and fewer assets. You understand? You've sacrificed yourself to be in this marriage. You've sacrificed career advancement and all that just to keep your marriage together. Now, in the divorce, you got less money to work with. Now, in some cultures, marriage still limits women's freedom, choices, and safety. In others, it can protect women socially or economically. So I guess it's according to what culture you're in. But all in all, marriage tends to benefit more men, especially financially and in terms of health. So ladies, when you think about marrying this dude, think about some things that I said. Okay? Do you really need to be married? Is that necessary for your happiness? Is your happiness based on a fairy tale life? Consider these things. Like I said before, I am not talking against marriage. We all have free will, and you have the right to do whatever you desire to do. But I wanted to share with you some information about marriage. And is marriage a scam? It very well could be, but it's your choice to make. I hope you understand the message today, and I really hope that it helps someone. Now, those of you who may have a question that you'd like for me to answer, my email address is in the description. I want to thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for your comments and your letters. And a very special thank you to those that leave a donation. I really appreciate all of you. I wish you all the very best. And I really hope to see you next time.